a Christian is going to live, it's going to be either, I want to be like that. Or, if that's what a Christian is about, I want nothing to do with it. Very thought-provoking, I understand. Does our speech and our actions bring people to the point that they want to know God better? Very, very thought-provoking question. Does our speech or our actions bring people to the point that they want to know God better? Do they look at you and say, I see Jesus in you, and I want to know more? Philippians chapter 4. Verses 8 and 9. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. Whatever you have learned, or received, or heard from me, or seen in me, put it into practice. And the God of peace will be with you. Excellent set of scripture verses. Whatever you've seen, think about these things. Whatever is pure, whatever is holy, whatever is right, whatever is just, whatever is admirable. Think of these things and then put it into practice. When we do those things, people start to see a different snapshot. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 2. Rather, we have renounced secret and shameful ways. We do not use deception, nor do we distort the word of God. Think about these statements. On the contrary, by setting forth the truth plainly, we commend ourselves to everyone's conscience. When we do these things, when we represent Christ, when we call ourselves Christians, we've put on the face of Jesus. And when we walk out these doors, people see, because we have decided to put on this term that we call Christianity, Christian, Christ in, that's what people see. Because we have declared, I am a child of God. I declare that I am a child of God. I have been saved by grace through Jesus Christ, who died on the cross and rose from the grave to save my sins, but not just my sins, your sins. Do we proclaim that when we walk out the door? When we do proclaim that when we walk out the door, people see an absolutely incredible snapshot. When, however, we proclaim this in Sunday's church service or in Sunday school or in Bible studies, and we walk out the door and decide that we're in charge, this is my life, I want my money, I am going to get my stuff, they see a different Jesus. And it's a Jesus that they don't want. We are God's ambassadors. Think about that. That is an incredible, amazing, beautiful responsibility that we proclaim. It's a wonderful responsibility, but it's a responsibility nonetheless. What do people see in us with our snapshot? Do they see Jesus? We need to share this gift. And as Philippians chapter 4, verse 8 and 9 says, we need to share this gift with joy. We need to look upon what we do and who we are and what we say with joy. And we need to look at these things. And we need to put it into practice. Let's share this gift of joy, this thankfulness, this purity, this gladness of the joy of Christ, the wonderful thing that God did for us. Sometimes when people see our snapshot, and I know this because I'm a walking mess up. I mess up all the time. I know that. Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes we sin. Sometimes we make people mad. I understand. I get it. I get it. And sometimes in those situations, people take a snapshot. They're going to take a snapshot because they've seen that. They're taking a picture of who we are. But we can make it right. And how do we do that? How do we do that when we do mess up? How do we make it right? Actually, it's unbelievably simple, but very hard to do. Unbelievably simple, but very hard to do. We go to that person and we humbly apologize. You know what? I messed up. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And I will work on not doing that again. The end of Philippians 4, verse 9. And put it into practice. And that snapshot that people take of us will change. They've taken another snapshot. The first snapshot was, oh, that person was a real jerk. And there might be several of those snapshots. Boom, 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 boom. There are cameras that take pictures just like that. Boom, 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 boom. And they see those. And when we realize we've messed up, we turn around and say, you know what, I royally blew it. Will you forgive me? And they take another snapshot. And they see a different person. Someone who humbly will say, I really blew it. And reconciliation begins to occur. Here in just a few moments, we're going to sing a song that we all know and we all know well. Or at least most of us know well. And the song title is called, and you feel free to look at it in your bulletin, They Will Know We Are Christians by our what? Our love. Who is they? Is it just the people in our immediate lives? Is it just our spouse? Is it just our children? Is it just our grandchildren? Is it just our church family? Who is the they in the song? The they in the song is not our spouse, our children, our grandchildren. The they, the purpose in the word they, is the person that I'm looking at right now across the street who doesn't go to church. They will know we are Christians by our love. Philippians says that we need to think of these things and then we need to act on it. And when we walk out these doors, declaring ourselves clothed in the grace of Christ, and when we walk out those doors and we either unintentionally or intentionally decide not to show that to the person across the street, we are showing Christ. And a Christ that they don't want. But when we go out those doors and we clothe ourselves with Christ as we claim that we are, and we go out and we show the person across the street what love is, and more importantly, who love is, the snapshot will start to change. Many times it doesn't take just one snapshot. Many times it takes multiple snapshots over and over and over and over and over again. And I'll tell you why. I was sitting with a gentleman this summer. I've known him for a long time. This gentleman, his parents were terrible. He told me that. Both his father and his mother were alcoholics. He didn't live with his parents very long. Instead of him being put as being a ward of the state, his family, his extended family, decided, no, we will take care of you. And what he ended up doing was going to different families for an extended period of time, and then he would go to another uncle and aunt for an extended period of time, and then he would go to another uncle and aunt for an extended period of time. He had no stability whatsoever in his life. Zero. He said he was about 13 years old, and he went to his uncle and aunt's house. His uncle and aunt went to church. He'd never been in church before. In 13 years, he'd never been to church. So, because he's 13 years old, he doesn't have a choice. He goes to church with his uncle and his aunt and uncle. And he starts thinking, he says, you know what, these church people aren't so bad, they're nice. They shake my hand, they say nice things to me. You know, these church people aren't as bad as what I thought they were. The church was in the middle of a remodeling project. They were going to remodel the church, they were going to expand the church, they were really excited about it. And one of the things that the church was doing was they were remodeling the sanctuary and different things, and they were taking out the old boards, and they were going to put new trim boards, that kind of thing in the church. So this 13-year-old's uncle goes up to a couple of the board members and asks a question and said, hey, just a curious question, what are you planning on doing with the stack of boards that you're getting rid of, that you're not going to put back in the church? If you're just going to get rid of them if you're just going to burn them or throw them away, let me know. I have a really good use for them. I can use them. I can make things out of them. So he went to a couple of the board members. The board members said, we will take it up at the next board meeting. And we will give you a decision. The next board meeting came. The question was asked. And the board said, absolutely, no problem. You can have the boards. And I mean a truckload of them. They were full of nails, the whole 9 yards. And the board unanimously said, you can have them. Just come get them. So this uncle and this young boy, 13-year-old boy, comes, fills the truck, absolutely fills the truck, twice, 2 trips. Takes them back home, pulls out all the nails, cleans them all up, stacks them nice and neat in the barn, getting ready to use them, make things out of them for the family. Well, one of the board members came up to them after they were all stacked and everything and said, hey, we've got a problem. We have an individual in the church, a power player in the church, someone who gives money, thinks that they own the church, and they want those boards back. And because they have influence in the church, we have to oblige. We need you to take all that wood back. But you said that the board unanimously approved that we could have these boards. Yes, we know, but we need them back. So, this man and this 13-year-old kid loads all of the wood back up, takes it back to the church, stacks it nice and neat, in perfect order, exactly where they found it. And that 13-year-old boy has never been into a church again. That was a snapshot. That young boy is now 67 years old. Think about that. I don't know if the relationship that I have with that individual will change his mind. I have no idea. He knows that I'm a pastor. I've known him for quite a while. And it was amazing that he was willing to tell me that story about his life. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you, churches all over the country do things like that. That was a very negative snapshot that that person had from not just a regular attender in the church, but from a board member. Someone who says, I am clothed with Christ. I represent Jesus, but I want what I want. And the snapshot hasn't changed in 50 years. We are Christ's representatives. We are ambassadors for Jesus. Do we clothe ourselves with Christ? And do we portray that when we walk out these doors? I know this is a very thought-provoking, challenging type message. I understand that. But the reality is, that's where we are in the United States. It really is. I've heard person after person after person after person tell me why they don't go to church. I have nothing against God. It's the people who follow God I have a problem with. When we clothe ourselves with Christ, however, and we show that we are Christians by our love, the snapshot begins to change. Let's change the snapshot of who Christians are. Let's be mindful of what we talk about and who we talk to and how we talk to people. Let's start changing. Let's start changing that snapshot for Jesus. Let's pray. Lord God, we come